If you want to figure out a better way to reach your goals and not sabotage them like you may have done last year, stick around. I've got some ideas. Welcome to Still Figuring It Out. I am Robert Bloom. I'm almost 50 and I'm still trying to figure it out. You might be in a point in life where you look up and you're like, I am almost blank, 50, 60, 70. Where did it go? What happened to it? How can I still achieve those dreams? Is it too late? I personally don't think so. I think we still have time, but we've got a lot of baggage, and we've got a lot of bad habits, and we've got a lot of things that we have to overcome. And the problem is we keep repeating those every single year. This year, I am determined to not let that happen. We've got certain habits and routines that sabotage us along the way. It's habits and routines we probably had for years. And so that's how we look up and we're like, hey, I still haven't achieved this vision of this life that I desire, but I see life passing me by. Is it possible? Like, if I haven't been able to do it now, is it still possible for me to do? Can I still achieve my dreams? I think you can, and I'm going to prove that you can, but it's going to take a lot of work. And so starting off this year, I'm putting together a system that is going to help me achieve the goals that I have created for myself for this new year. This has not been the greatest year for me. There is a laundry list of goals that I created at the beginning of the year that I did not achieve. And that's 2 years in a row that that's happened to me. Go back 3 years, I had a fantastic year. How did that happen? In order to recreate that year, I need to go back and use some of the tools and the steps and resources that I utilized 3 years ago to help me have that fantastic year. After I had that fantastic year, as I got to the end of that year and I was planning for my next year, there were some steps that I took in that really good year that I didn't think that I needed to take in the upcoming year. So I cut corners. As a result, I shot myself in the foot because it was useful. It was paramount for me to go back and do that. I thought I was beyond that. That's not the case. Why did I take shortcuts? Because planning your year and following these steps, when you're doing it and you're going through, you're thinking, can I just skip this step? Can I just get past this? Can I call it in? Do I need to do every single one of these? And the answer for me is yes. So I said, hey, if you're gonna have the type of year that you really want to have, if you're gonna recreate that fantastic year that you had 3 years ago, then you absolutely have to sit down and do this step. And I gotta say, it's no easier now than it was then. But if you do it, oh my God, it's game changing. The last few years, I've used a book to help me plan my year called The Best Year Ever by Michael Hyatt. And it's a fantastic book. I enjoy it. I revisit it every year. Having said that, last couple of years, skimmed through it once again, skipped some steps. Another book that I took some useful bits of information from was Your Best Year Yet by Jenny S. Ditzler. Did I say that right? Jenny, Jinny S. Ditzler, Ditzler. I'll put the link to those two books down in the description below. Another book that was useful was David Goggins' You Can't Hurt Me. He has an exercise for you to do at the end of each chapter, and I believe it's in chapter 10, he calls it an after-action report. In Michael Hyatt's book, he calls it an after-action review. In a nutshell, what it tells you to do is revisit your past year, and you go over all of the good and you go over all of the bad. I will show you exactly how to do that. What were the moments that I enjoyed? What were the moments I hated? What were my goals? How did I come up short? You're analyzing your past year, and you're trying to figure out, especially on your goals, where did I come up short? Why did I come up short? Why did I not achieve those goals? The last 2 years I was setting goals. I didn't do this process. I wasn't anticipating just how specifically I would sabotage my goals as the year progressed. If I don't create an awareness about how I may end up sabotaging these goals ahead of time, then my bad habits will creep in and I will completely fall off. Where are my shortcomings? Where have I slipped up before? It's usually the same shit over and over and over again. If I just move forward without acknowledging that these things exist, that these things may in fact come back and trip me up like they have so many times before, then I'm setting myself up for failure. So basically you want to create an awareness around all of the ways that you may slip up. So when it comes time that you're doing that action or that habit that you know is a detriment to your forward progress in what you want to achieve that year, you might think twice before you engage in that habit or that action or that routine. This is my example. You leave the milk out and then somebody puts it back for you. You have a bad habit of leaving the milk out. Your significant other comes up to you and says, you left the milk out again. And you say again, and they say, yes, you do it all the time. And you're like, I've done it maybe twice. And then they pull up a chart and go, no, I started keeping track of every time that you left the milk out, and you've done it 12 times in the last 45 days. That's creating awareness. And I guarantee you, one, if you know that somebody's holding you accountable, you'll probably put the milk back up next time. Two, now you have concrete evidence as to what's actually happening. Now you know, oh shit, I really am not putting the milk back. It happened on this day and this day and this day. I guarantee you, you're gonna start putting that milk back. You don't wanna be reprimanded again. You know that this is something I'm doing all the time. When you're able to create that awareness, when it's time to engage in that habit, you at least have this little voice. In this case, the accountability you created for yourself. You are the accountability partner because you said, hey, look, this is the thing that's tripped me up this entire last year. This is the thing that has tripped me up all of my previous life. So when I go to do this thing now, and I've already had a conversation with myself, is this something that I want to engage in again right now? You might still, but creating that awareness helps you make a more informed decision. A lot of times we're just acting on impulses and habits. We're not even thinking, but it is actually a decision. At that point, you can make the decision. Do I want to engage in this activity? Do I want to engage in this habit? Because if I really want my next year to be fantastic, Bubba, Jesus Christ. So now I'm going to take you through the actual steps of the after action review. It can be a little bit of a long process, but it is so beneficial. I'll take you through the steps so you can get through it fairly quickly, and then you'll have a blueprint or a guide for the upcoming year. I know there is temptation to want to skip this step, and I'm begging you to not, just because I know how beneficial it is. I didn't do it for the last 2 years, and I wish I had. If I want my next year to be better than my last 2 years and more like the year I had 3 years ago, this step is crucial. Okay, so getting started. I myself like to use Word. You can use whatever you want. You can use Notes, you can use Notepad, you can use Evernote. I just like Word. I'm familiar with Word. It's easy for me. And then I have it on the OneDrive, and I can pull it up anywhere on my phone, on my iPad, on my computer, wherever I'm at. So we're gonna go in, we're going to create a document. I'm going to title it the 2024 After Action Review. Great, document's created, let's get started. So the first thing I like to do is a stream of consciousness writing, where basically I'm going in, I'm putting all of my thoughts on paper in regards to my last year. What went well, what didn't, what do I remember? What were some events, momentous occasions? Did I do any vacations? Did I connect with some old friends? How were my relationships? Did I have anything crazy happen? Did I have anything bad happen? Unfortunate? Whatever comes to mind regarding this last year. So I'll read the first paragraph of mine just to give you an idea about how I started. So when I say stream of consciousness, I really mean stream of consciousness. I start out by going, hey, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. What do I want to say? So basically this is what mine was. So Rob Bloom, how did last year go? Okay, I'm going to try to be as exhaustive as I can be. It'll probably take a few sessions, although I'm limited on time, so I'm going to try and get as much done as quickly as I can. Overall, I think the idea about this year, as I've said over the course of the year, it's been interesting. I said, I somehow actually made progress in some areas and still fell short in others. We got a new car. It actually happened sooner than I expected, but was still on the agenda for the year. Bubba's turned into a pretty good dog. There's still time to train. I know I need to incorporate that into some type of routine. I ran the Capital 10K, which is a 10K here in Austin, Texas. I got my heart scan, I got my physical, all good. Cholesterol was still a little high. I need to monitor that. No, I need to fix that. I've eaten pretty good lately, although I didn't eat good at all for a couple of months over the holidays. So these are just thoughts that I'm putting down, just things that I want to address, things that are coming to mind. Like I said, stream of consciousness, whatever is coming to mind, I'm putting down on paper in regards to this last year. I do this until I run out of stuff. I do this until I run out of memories and where I think I've exhausted everything that I can possibly think of. Just keep with it for as long as you can until you think that you've run out of anything else to say on paper. And so when I say memories, I mean the good, the bad, and the in-between. So anything that comes up. And so when you're doing this, it doesn't just have to be about concrete goals, although you can include them, but we'll get to those later. For the time being, you're mainly writing about moments that stand out and maybe your commentary about how you feel about those moments. I did this and I was happy about that. I was disappointed in that. I felt I could have done this differently, just whatever it is. Also think about any last year surprises or disappointments, whatever comes to mind as long as it relates to last year. So by doing this, it gives me a good overview of how last year went. I'm able to remember things that maybe I forgot or maybe I was trying to forget, but there is usefulness in both the good and the bad. Okay, so that was step one. Step number two. Now we're going to get a little more specific. In the event you had any goals from last year, this is where we're going to list them. You can copy and paste from wherever you had them before. If you didn't make a list last year of the goals that you wanted to accomplish for the year of 2024, if you had some general idea when you started last year of things that you would have liked to accomplish, list those items, list those goals as best you can. Did you have a vision board or something else? Anywhere that you may have had some idea about what you wanted to get done this last year. And think about it. Was there a goal to lose weight? Was there a goal to change your diet, exercise more, be more loving, organize something, buy something, sell something, connect with somebody? Was there a relationship you wanted to build or rebuild? So now we're going to go in and we're going to list those. So for me, here's a few of mine that I had listed at the beginning of the year. So here we go. No debt. Nope. Daughter's college fund. Definitely need more in there than what I had anticipated putting in there. A certain amount of money from film production. Didn't make that. 6 short films. Didn't get that accomplished. Screenplay I was working on. Didn't do that. Half marathon. Didn't do that. Consistent plant-based diet. Didn't do that. 12% body fat. Nope. I wanted to get a ridiculously strong core because of my back issues. Nope. Certain amount of money in the bank. Nope. Daughter wanted to go to Taylor Swift concert. Thank God she's not as big of a Taylor Swift fan anymore. Saved me a lot of money. Date nights, didn't get a whole lot of those done this year. Learning to two-step, didn't do that. Quality time with parents, I made some time there. My parents' house renovated. Small progress. Dog's still not trained the way I would like. We did get a new car. So look, there's a bunch of shit I didn't get done. Once you have those into place, you're going to go into each one and you're going to ask a question, what happened and why? And it's very important. Do not sugarcoat this. You have to be completely honest. If you knocked a particular goal out of the park, kudos to you. Write it down, tell yourself you crushed it, and then say why you crushed it. What was behind you being motivated and disciplined enough to you being able to accomplishing that goal. Notate that, write that out. You can say, because I prioritized it and I stayed focused. I didn't take any days off, I didn't get distracted, or I put in extra hours for it. Recognize what led you to accomplishing that specific goal. Or if it's a goal you didn't achieve or you came up short on, let's put that in there too. But be as brutally honest as you can with yourself. Because if you're not brutally honest with yourself on these, and this is only you that's going to see these, then you're wasting your time. You're going to end up with the same results that you've had year after year after year. Trust me, this is what happened to me. When I have done this, it's worked out great. The times that I thought I didn't need this and I cut corners, it hasn't worked out so well. I end up with the same results, which is frustrating and defeating. So real quick, I'll give you some examples about my what happened and why on a couple of these different goals. Okay, let's say quality time with my parents. I put what happened and why. There were moments throughout the year, but not enough. More missed Saturdays than made. This is one of those habit goals I need to mark to see how many times I'm actually doing it and revisit it every quarter. I really can't miss any more opportunities. That's what I put down for my goal of quality time with parents. 12% body fat. What happened and why? Injury setbacks, discouragement, not pivoting and not keeping my mind on the overarching goal. Most importantly, this goal ties into my fitness and diet goal, which neither one were appropriately planned or mapped out, let alone follow through. I wanted a certain amount of money in the bank, and what happened and why? Not enough money coming in, too much money going out, expenses, vacations, having to cover hospital bills, not being clear on our finances, so having to make up and cover for bills, dug into a portion of the savings that I wish we hadn't, so I wasn't able to add any more to it. What happened and why? Again, mainly a lack of prioritizing. Oh shit. Bubba! Listen, I've got about 15 different goals listed for last year, and I went through and basically broke down what happened and why on each one to give me an idea what is helping me, what is holding me back, what were the main reasons, and then I'm gonna take that information and tease it out into some themes and see if there are some patterns and see how those patterns tie into maybe all of the goals. Because I'm sure at some point I can distill it down to a few different habits or routines or something I'm doing that is preventing me from getting most of these goals accomplished. Step number 3, if you have any sort of journal or planner over the last year or something that you documented your year in, any type of note taking that you can go back through and see if you missed anything from step number 1 and from step number 2. If you don't have a planner or journal or something that you've been keeping track of over the course of the year of how your year's going, then if there's anything additional that comes to mind, go ahead and put that down now. I know in my planner/journal, I like to capture my frustrations, mostly with myself, or any thoughts, any ideas that I think that might be useful going forward. So as I'm doing this, it's actually kind of cool to go back through and see where I was at different times as the year progressed mentally. Where was I? What was I thinking? What was I struggling with? So for myself, I like to use Michael Hyatt's Full Focus Planner. You can see that here, Michael Hyatt's Full Focus Planner. Overall, I think it's pretty fantastic. I've been using it for the last 3 years, 4 years. It's a quarterly planner, and at the end of each planner, it has a blank-lined notes section, which, if I was smart, at the end of each quarter, I would go through and I would review my quarter and put all of the pertinent information in the notes. That way, I wouldn't have to go through the entire planner at the end of the year, 4 of them, to be able to see how each quarter went. I did do that for one of the quarters. I'm going to start doing that at the end of each quarter for 2025. So as I went back through each quarter, I went in and highlighted every notable idea or thought or frustration that I had over the course of that quarter that I had documented in here. So I'll show you what I pulled up. And so I documented in the notes section for a specific day. I said, so here's the problem. I had a plan at the beginning of this week. I didn't do it. I didn't stick to it. Why? Because I didn't check in yesterday morning. Also, I'm good on Monday, maybe Tuesday, but by Wednesday, I fall off. What's the dilemma? I'm not getting to bed at the same time. I have no routine, so I'm sleeping in, so no real morning routine. Well, that was my Friday, March 1st. So in doing this, if you don't do it at the end of each quarter, it's a fairly time-consuming process to go through. But because I wasn't very diligent at times about going in each and every day, there's a lot of blank pages that I have. So that made it a little bit easier, but not recommended. So I go through all of my highlights and I wrote them down in a list on my 2024 after action review document. So what I'm looking for mostly is problems or frustrations or reoccurring issues, any items that I kept writing over and over again. If it was something I was having an issue with in March and also having an issue with in August, then that's something I'm definitely gonna put down there. Okay, so here's a few examples of things that I added to my list. This list is not necessarily indicative of how the entire year went. These are moments in time that I'm capturing. So something like going back to bed after I get up is something that was a reoccurring issue. Chest pain was kind of a every now and then thing. I'd written in here not being intentional about my time with my daughter. That was probably more of an isolated incident, but something that I still want to make sure that I'm aware of, and something that I felt at the time when I wrote it was an issue, whether that be a day or a couple of occasions, not putting enough effort or planning into my time with my wife, bad eating habits, having trouble staying focused throughout the day, not visualizing, not planning my days, falling off my routine by Wednesday. Again, that didn't happen every week, but it did happen on many weeks. No consistent bedtime, no morning routine, no consistent routine with taking my dog for a walk, negotiating with myself, not having enough money, not working out. Again, there were times that I worked out consistently throughout the year, but there was also times that it was an issue for me. No consistent strength training routine, feeling overwhelmed, workspace cluttered or disorganized, no financial plan, too much phone usage. Again, not all the time, but there were moments where I had to write it out. I'm like, too much phone usage today. I couldn't get off my phone today. Doesn't mean it was an all the time thing, but it is something that I want to be aware of. No consistent diet. Again, there were times that I ate well, times that I didn't. So once you get that list down, we're on to step number 4. Step number 4. You're probably thinking, wow, this is a lot of shit. This is long, this is tedious, this is boring. Maybe it's boring, maybe it's not. But I'm telling you, it is valuable. At least it was for me. Awareness is the key. There are no shortcuts for being a badass, and trust me, I've tried a lot of shortcuts. So after completing steps 1 through 3, your stream of consciousness writing, your specific goals, and the notes that I've given myself over the year, I'm going to take this time to glance over all of the things that I've written down and see if there's anything that continues to pop up over and over and over again. If there is, those are my areas of concern that I need to be aware of. Once I've done that, I'm going to create a list of all of the things that I think might trip me up over the course of 2025. And I'm pretty confident they will trip me up because they've tripped me up this entire last year and they tripped me up the year before. If I don't fix these things, I'm probably gonna have the same year that I had last year. These are the booby traps that I need to avoid this year. So I create my list and then I write a little commentary on it. So this one is not getting enough sleep. And then I write, it's hard to be able to concentrate or be creative when you're tired. And then I just end up going back to sleep for a couple hours instead of starting my day. Not planning my day so that I keep myself focused on my most important goals for the year. Otherwise, I wake up in a fog and I'm just reacting to all of the other pressing yet less important things that I think need to be done right then. Not preparing for the following day at the end of my current day. Not planning the year. So I write a commentary as to my thoughts on it, what's happening, and why it's important for me to fix this issue going forward in the year 2025. Other ones, not working on my core, spontaneity and adventure with my wife, not creating time to spend with my parents, not blocking off time to work on my side hustle, my media company, which is the thing I would really like to do as a career, not financial planning. So there's step number 4. Very lastly, we're almost done. Step number 5, I'm going to distill all of the information down to 5 items. 5 items that I absolutely have to do this year in order to have a successful year ahead. These are the actions and the habits that I believe will ensure that I can look back at the end of 2025 and say, wow, that was a fantastic year. If I'm able to do that, I'm gonna be pretty proud of how I showed up this year. All right, so here it is. We made it. Here's the list. Drum roll, please. Drum roll. There it is. Okay, here we go. Here's the list. I'm excited. Number 1, for me. This is for me. Get more sleep. Number 2, plan out this year completely. And I wrote, list my goals, create action plans for my goals, and schedule those actions. And when I say that, I mean create a thorough plan in how to be adventurous with my wife, in creating opportunities to spend with my teenage daughter, and making time for my parents, and blocking off time for my business, etc. All of it. Number 3, always stick to the plan. Then I wrote, barring unforeseen circumstances, which there will always be, but stick to the plan. Always stick to the plan. Number 4, I said, and speaking of unforeseen circumstances, expect the unexpected. So number 4 is be ready to pivot. I get tripped up with disruptions and it throws me off. Even things that I expect, such as when my daughter has spring break or summer break, I have allowed it to be disruptive to my schedule. Or if I have an injury in the gym, I need to be prepared for backup plans when the routine gets disrupted. The key for me is don't lose sight of the goal. If I stay focused on that day in and day out, I can adjust accordingly. But I'm still headed towards that destination that I determined at the beginning of the year was so incredibly important for me to have. Number 5. check in every day to start my day, center myself, and focus on what I need to do that day to keep headed towards that destination. And at the end of each evening, review and reflect on my day, determine how I did, what I can do better, and mentally prepare myself for the next day ahead. So number 5 is I need to check in every day and I need to check out every day. I need to plan my day in the morning and I need to review and reflect on it in the evening, and also prepare for my following day. So then I'll take those 5 items and I will add them to my vision board. I'll also add it to my daily planner, which will serve as a reminder of these 5 things that I deem important for me to be able to have a successful 2025. So keep in mind, I go through this entire process because it allows me to organically identify my most important issues and needs for the upcoming year. And it helps avoid this generic one-size-fits-all. It is geared specifically towards you and your personality, or as I say, me and my personality. It addresses my shortcomings, my habits, my routines. It all has to do with my own psychology and the things that are holding me back and preventing me from moving forward. So again, keep in mind, yours are going to be completely different than mine. I highly recommend that you take the time to do this. I think that you'll discover the liberation and the power in it, especially by the end of the year. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. If you found this information of value to you, please hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you. Take care.